Hello, welcome back to this presentation, The Power of Acid-Alkaline Balance. I'm going to share the screen so that you're seeing the slides and seeing that we have an amazing amount of power in our acid-alkaline balance. I think we're at full screen. Yes, we are. Our acid-alkaline balance affects our wellness. We impact it with our food, our interactions with others, and many other areas of our life. I have such respect for acid-alkaline balance because I was actually sick for several weeks trying to figure out why I was sick. And suddenly I found that my water was acid. I had just moved into a place that had a reverse osmosis water filter under the sink, and I had several other stressors on my life right at that time, and add water that was severely acid, because reverse osmosis water is about a 5.5 pH instead of being 7.5 or 8.5, which is where it needs to be. And we'll cover more of that in just a moment. To begin with, I want to talk about why acid-alkaline balance is so critically important. Note that when God created us, He gave us 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 ears, 2 of most things. But for acid-alkaline balance, He gave us 7. 7 acid-alkaline balance buffers. And they're listed here. I won't spend time on them. You can read it in the book called Sick and Tired, written by Robert and Shelley Young. It's on pages 56 through 58. As you remember, I test for the health of all of those acid-alkaline balance systems in our 62 function test when we do the resets and put them back online again. But they are extremely and critically important. So we're going to talk more about what that really means to you. And then in a separate video, what foods are alkaline and what foods are acid. So just a couple of quotes to begin with from the website phmiracleliving.com comes this quote: "The human organism is alkaline by design and acidic by function." I want to talk for a minute about that one because it may make no sense from that quote. Our body has to stay alkaline to stay healthy, and yet all of our functions create acid. When we work, we create lactic acid, and when we do so many things, we create acid that has to be cleared out. Carbonic acid cleared out through the breathing process. Uric acid that's cleared out through the urine. And by keeping those acids cleared out, we can stay healthy. If we're drinking acid liquids, water, or if we're eating acid foods, and we're surrounding ourselves with negativism and other things that are acid, it's very hard for the body to maintain health and function. The other quote here: "If we will maintain this alkaline design of our body through an alkaline lifestyle and diet, we can prevent all sickness and disease." He says all. Well, let's examine a little bit more what acid-alkaline means and what contributes to it so that we can see how those 7 buffers make a difference and how we can support those 7 buffers by living a lifestyle that is truly alkaline instead of acid. One more short quote in the relationship of health or disease. This comes from a book written by Robert and Shelley Young called Sick and Tired. We already referenced that one. "A healthy or diseased terrain is determined primarily by 4 things. Its acid-alkaline balance, or pH balance, which we will cover in the next slide. Its electric magnetic charge, negative or positive charge. We can influence that by the things we eat that are in season, and by taking in the right salt that has the multi-minerals in it, and by making sure that we keep ourself grounded by walking on the grass. There's other ways to do that also. It says also its level of poisoning or toxicity, so we have to make sure we keep clean, and its nutritional status. We will spend more time over the next several topics on each of those. So what does pH mean? It means potential for hydrogen. That's acid alkaline balance. Acid is 1 through 7, or it's a protein donor or electron receptor, whereas alkaline is 7 through 14, 7 being neutral, and it's an electron donor or proton acceptor. Protons have positively charged ions, and electrons have negatively charged ions. Notice that our blood must remain at 7.365 for us to stay healthy. It's absolutely critical that our blood stays at 7.365. Now, if we are not balanced, the middle one here, these are representations of a cell and how they lock if they're not pH balanced. If a cell has more acidic fluid around it and the intracellular fluids are acidic, then the doors and windows close and it can't open up to take in nutrients or to release toxins. If it's balanced around it, if the pH balance of fluids around it is at 7.365 or something very close to that, then nutrients are allowed in, toxins are allowed out, the trash is moved out of the cells, and it stays healthy. Each cell stays healthy. Also, if we're too alkaline, by taking in inappropriate alkaline materials that are not fresh, then we can get too alkaline. And then nutrients also can't get in and toxins can't get out if we're out of balance. Fluid bathes all the cells within our body, and this fluid also adds nutrients to go into the cells and toxins to get out, and that fluid is called the lymphatic fluid. The lymphatic system is our intracellular fluid, or the fluid around our cells. The toxins that move into that lymph fluid is filtered by the lymph nodes, and there's 700 plus lymph nodes, and they filter out damaged cells and isolate them and clean them out of our body. That's the purpose of the lymph nodes, is actually to take damaged cells out and to clean it out. Our lymph system has no pump though. So the lymph is moved by our exercise. Our exercise is the pump for the lymphatic system. And it has one-way valves that move it toward the center of the body. That's the critical nature of getting just enough exercise on a daily basis so that we don't accumulate those toxins around our cells and keep them around our cells. Now, because that's all water or lymphatic fluid, I want to talk about fluid, water, drinks, the things we take in, because we're about 80% water. And if we are careful and work with that water, we actually get the exact amount we need to. So let's take a look at a few of these drinks and talk about the pH balance of our body for just a moment. Carbonated cola drinks are about a pH of 2.5. That includes all of the carbonated cola drinks. Now, there is an interesting difference between those that have caffeine in them and those that don't have caffeine. A study I read years ago showed that non-caffeinated drinks like 7-Up, Sprite, just carbonated water. When we drink a 12-ounce can of those drinks, the calcium in our urine increases by 400%. We're pulling calcium out of the bones, out of the teeth, out of the nerve sheath, out of all areas of our body to neutralize that acid, and it increases by 400% with non-caffeinated sodas or colas. Now, the same study cited that when we take in a caffeinated soda like Pepsi or Coke or Mountain Dew or your favorite, whatever that happens to be, maybe you don't drink cola at all, that's good. That increases the calcium in the urine by 1,600%, 16 times. And we're dumping out our good calcium out of our body if we take in that strong of a acidic material into the body. Notice that sport drinks, Gatorades, and all of those other sport aid drinks are also very strongly acidic, 2.5 on the acid alkaline scale. There's a popular bottled water that a lot of people drink that's reverse osmosis water or filtered water, it's often called. And that's about a 5 or a 5.5 on the pH scale. And that also grabs calcium to neutralize it and pulls it out of the body. So our clients who have trouble absorbing calcium can immediately correct that by changing their water to an alkaline water or just a tap water, which is a better source than reverse osmosis water, which is the way most of the commercial companies or the big box water filters in the store, or sometimes the ones underneath your tap at your home are. Tap water, notice, is anywhere from about 6.5 to 8.5. It's better for us than filtered or reverse osmosis water. And that's just a good carbon filter on a tap to take out the chlorine or other things that the city might have put in is enough to make that water better for us. Again, let me emphasize, I've just put blood in there to show where it's supposed to. Our lymphatic fluid in our blood needs to stay at precisely 7.365. Now, fresh organic vegetable juices and fresh organic vegetables are about a 9 on the pH scale. We need to be above 7 to maintain health. Anything below 7 is going to damage our health. You've seen the ORP noted here. I'm going to just define it very quickly. It's defined as the oxidizing reducing potential. When things are oxidizing, they burn us or break down. And to reduce means that we need to have it reducing that potential. When it's a negative, as you saw here in this fresh organic vegetables, it actually energizes it or is an antioxidant. So if you want antioxidants, the quickest way to get them actually is just to eat fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Our body is so interesting. The digestive process starts out alkaline, then turns to acid, goes back to alkaline, goes back to acid. Our saliva should be alkaline. The areas that I've seen say it ranges in neutral to slightly alkaline. I've seen it as high as 8 in very healthy people or very alkaline. And that's why chewing our food is so essential, so that it's broken down with something alkaline. When we swallow the food, it goes into our stomach, and our gastric juices are extremely acid, a 1 to 3.5, which is 100,000 times more acid than our saliva is. It finishes mixing around in the stomach and moves around, and then in the small intestine, it turns back to alkaline again with pancreatic enzymes being mixed with it to bring it back to 7.5 to an 8. And then as it's cleaned out and the water is absorbed out of it in the large intestine, then it moves back to slightly acid again. Some commons of overacidity include allergies, fatigue, mood disorders, neurological imbalance, low blood sugar and high blood sugar, catching everything that's going around, in other words, getting sick all the time. Some may call this aging. My experience is that once my body was completely clean, getting all the nourishment that it needed, and removing the toxins of emotional toxins and inherited energies, I have better energy in my 60s than I did as a young child. Everything functions better. I'm healthier. So let's not call that aging. Let's call that toxicity instead. Perhaps you've noticed something in this today that you're going, I need to do that. Well, make a note of it now and do it. And then report to your accountability partner that you did it. Drop me a note. Drop us a note that you did it. Whatever it takes to make those actions. You can review the slides again here in this presentation and see what actions you need to do. We'll end with a simple alkaline lemonade recipe that takes 1 cup of fresh lemon juice, which is 4 to 5 large lemons, a half a teaspoon of stevia leaf extract. Check to make sure that that's just stevia, and you can use a lot less on some of the brands, so check their recommendations. 2 tablespoons of raw honey, that's raw honey, and may be optional depending on your muscle testing, what you find for you. 2 cups of frozen strawberries and a gallon of pure water, and that makes a lovely alkaline drink to refresh you on a hot day. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate you learning with me, and I hope you can implement these things that will make you more alkaline.